Were the holy text teachings on women dictated by God, or should they be interpreted as vestiges of an ancient patriarchal culture? Now, most religions have a creepy fixation on the woman's private parts. Staunch zealots don't like their saviors free-falling from the womb. In fact, they've done everything in their power to explain away the vagina. Jesus' mother was impregnated from God's palace in the sky. Buddha burst forth from his mother's side. And we know little of Muhammad's mother, let alone his birth. And after all, women's bodies are dirty and sinful, or so we're told. And this is why women are taught from an early age to be ashamed of their bodies and to keep them covered. And in the worst part of all of this, God told me to. So we must treat women as lesser beings because it is inscribed in my holy book. All major religions' texts were written at a time when women were regarded as little better than talking cattle. And the words of the ancient text reflect this, plainly and bluntly. In Nigeria, a pregnant 13-year-old girl received 180 lashes of the cane after being pimped by her father. The state's attorney general said it is the law of Allah, so we don't have anything to worry about. And in Jerusalem, ultra-Orthodox Jews have set up modesty police, who go around terrorizing young women who talk to men or show ordinary parts of their bodies. And in the midst of India, still dominated by Orthodox Hinduism, a widow is expected to commit suicide or go into isolation when her husband dies. The women within all these cultures are being imprisoned in their homes, or having their genitalia cut, or being stoned for having sex. The Quran says if you fear high-handedness from your wives, remind them of the teachings of God. Then ignore them when you go to bed, and then hit them. In that order? Anyway, then the gentler, nicer apologists for religions arrive, and they say we're simply misinterpreting those holy texts, which are in fact about love, passion, and kindness. So, to defend their God, the apologists stretch the truth about what the prophets say in the texts. There are people in all religions who have, through theological contortions, managed to leave behind literal readings of the texts and invent a less foul God to believe in. It's just nicer that way. But if you know your Bible and you aren't touched by superstition, you'll have to conclude that such bigotry is in there too. The belief in a divine creator aside, no rational person can defend this. As far as I know, there is no religion on earth that claims men and women are equals. Eastern religions such as Hinduism leave no room for the interpretation when it comes to the role of women. By a girl, by a young woman, or even an aged one, nothing must be done independently, even in her own house. In other words, in childhood a female must be subject to her father, in youth to her husband, and when he is dead she belongs to her sons. A woman must never be independent. That'll go over big. The most popular version of Christianity claims women are inherently subservient to men, since Eve came from Adam's rib. In Exodus, it shows us that it's perfectly cool to sell your daughter into slavery and allow her master to rape her. Also in Exodus, if a man sleeps with a virgin, with or without her consent, he must marry her. However, if her father refuses to allow her to wed, the man must then pay the father's dowry of virgins for what he did. Leviticus chapter 12 reminds us that women are unclean. And after giving birth to a boy, a woman is considered unclean for 7 days. However, if she has given birth to a girl, she is unclean for 33 days. Leviticus teaches us that man can rape his female slaves and be forgiven, though the slave must be punished. Well, I guess so. There she was looking all good and everything. The Old Testament is a weird, scary place. The one thing in the Bible even says that there was a period when the Hebrews worshipped Asherah alongside Yahweh. And according to the books of Hosea, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, they blamed the goddess Asherah for making Yahweh jealous. Then they cite his jealousy as the reason Yahweh allowed the destruction of Jerusalem. Well, you may say, God don't hate women. It's just that men hate women, and that's who wrote this stuff. And at that exact moment, we agree.